Well, hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist, joined with hubby
Hubcap
and the fur babies. Hopefully they will be nice and calm so we can get through this. Today we are going to be talking about the basics. So whether you're an old pro like me, my 18 years are in December, that I've stuck with it, impressed with myself, happy with myself. Hopefully this will help everybody. I'm trying to get the color right for you guys as close as I can. And we will get started. So I'm just going to be burning while we're talking, and as something comes up while I'm burning, we'll discuss it then.
So we have Omar, Dario, Orduz, Ochoa. It says hola. And then we got Wanda and Cynthia.
Hello, Omar. Hello, Wanda and Cynthia, and hopefully more people will be joining us. The time change always throws everybody off, so gotta give everybody a few minutes. Arizona, we don't change times, so that's why it's earlier for you guys. Now, I see something we're going to start right off with, and that is cleaning our tips. See, right here, we can see, hopefully, that gray on the very tip, trying to get it to focus right there. That is carbon. So, a lot of people recommend sandpaper. Big mistake. I've learned that firsthand on my own. So what we are using in this case, let me grab it, is a leather strop. Doesn't matter what kind, whatever you like. Yes?
I was just saying, it's like sandpaper wears down your tips.
Yes, it does.
Like, why would you brush your teeth with sandpaper?
Exactly.
Because eventually you would have no teeth.
Exactly. There is this white that is on, well now I guess technically gray, that is on my strop. That is aluminum oxide. So for me, I didn't grab it. Excuse me. When you tell inanimate objects, I'm using aluminum oxide. This is a powder. For me, I find it much easier to put on the strop than it is with the blocks that you can get. But whatever your preference is, you do need to be careful because it is a very fine powder. Just be careful with it. I've had this little jar. I have had it for, as I try very hard not to spill it, I've had it for 6 years. And you can tell it has hardly been used. I will never run out of this stuff. So what I do is use my tip just a little bit, get some little bit on the tip. Granted, I'm at an angle, so I gotta be careful. Put it on the strop, and really, that truly is all you need. You do not need a lot. Let me put the lid on it so I don't drop this and spill it everywhere. And then that never needing a new bottle or jar will have a different meaning. So I'm gonna rub my tip a little bit in the powder. You can already see it's pretty much off. And then I'm going to wipe in an area that is clean, doesn't have the powder on it. And look at that, my tip is clean that quickly. That is all you need. Alright, now I realize I've cleaned that tip, but that's not the tip I was thinking of using. Alright, and this is regardless of what burner you have. Now, I guess with the craft burner with tips like this, well, you'll still reshape these tips, but they are so cheap. I would say it's a personal preference on that. I have a little discoloration, but when I run my nail over it, I do not feel any carbon. Now, when there's carbon on a tip, you will feel it with your fingernail. Let me see. It's going to... There's a little bit on there, but not a whole lot. You will feel it. You can quickly wipe. This will also keep any edges sharp. And I'm just switching over to the 18 large. And we will just casually put in a little bit of the background while we are talking. So definitely, I mean, our stuff costs money. We need to protect our equipment so that our equipment loves us and allows us to burn for many, many years. Knock on wood. I have never broken a tip. I have sanded down a tip from cleaning. And so we want to keep that away. Now, when I hold a tip pin, I hold it this way. This keeps any kind of pressure on the back of my hand lifted, because if I'm holding like this, I can feel a little bit of a drag from the cord. There's just a little added weight, which really isn't a whole lot, but I find this more comfortable. And I actually sit the pin on top of, trying to get it. This tip is hot. I just turned it on, so I'm trying to be careful. I tend to put it where the pin is sitting on top of this cord, because all pins do get hot, especially at the higher heat temperatures. This protects my hand. So let's see here. Did I heat the wrong one? I didn't even heat the right one.
Uh-oh.
We're going to turn that on. So, all right. When I transfer a pattern, there is one specific brand that I use because I've had the most success with it. And that is the Walnut Hollow graphite transfer paper. It doesn't have the wax or the petrol oil in it that like carbon paper does, so I can easily clean off my board. Now these come in big 12 by 24 heats. And what I do to make them last longer, this is an unused sheet, is I actually cut them down. This is half of the bigger one, and when I cut it down, I just cut it down to 1 square, and I can move it around to transfer the pattern. And I can use this multiple times regardless of the size of the pattern.
Good job. Thank you for being brave.
And in doing that, I make this, I basically get 8 sheets out of one big old square. Is it 8? Yeah, let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually 16.
Mom, she made it.
Yay, if I'm counting right. So I always cut them down. This is the only brand I use. I know they're anywhere between $6 and $8, depending on time or price on Amazon. So, in doing that, I can make 1 sheet of graphite last for over a year. Just 1 sheet by cutting down and reusing. Alrighty, so let's start burning. When I create my patterns digitally, I use Photoshop or I use my tablet. Put my photo together the way I want it. Like this is all a mashup of many photos of different objects. And then I print out on tracing paper. The reason I do that, go a little hotter with that, is one, I can see the board through it. I use less ink because I'm only doing the pattern versus a photo. And this is thinner, so I can use less pressure when I transfer, and using less pressure when transferring. That also means I'm not going crazy with my lines and making it harder to erase.
Oh, Carmen's here.
Hey, Carmen.
She can only watch for a few minutes, though.
We're just glad to have you for a
she's
few
out
minutes.
and about.
Ah, out and about. Alrighty.
Being Canadian today, are we?
Alright, no, so I print on, I have a top-down printer. In fact, on my Amazon store, which should be linked in the description. So if you want to go after the live, I do have the printer listed that I use. That way I can feed the transfer paper down. I cut it down to size so that it fits the printer, and then I can just print right on the tracing paper, and then I don't have to worry about wasting too much ink and what have you. I'm going to bump up to 3 because I'm dragging. When you drag, you pull. The wood pulls more heat from the tip. So I'm just going to bump it up and move a little quicker. And if you notice, as I'm dragging versus the ovals, I have to lift to let the pen recover its heat. And this is regardless of what burner you use. You're going to have to lift the tip and allow it to recover. Alright, so we did patterns. When I transfer a pattern, I screwed up and I didn't print out that pattern, and I tend to do a dark blue. That way when I'm using pencil I can see it better, but I do use a very thin graphite pen, mechanical pen, and you can see that lead is really thin. It's 0.4 milliliters. Millimeters. There we go. Wrong one. You can get them in different sizes. I've got the 4, and I'm using, it's actually HB, where is it? No, it's H. It's H. I'm using H lead, which makes it light on the wood. Unless you're, of course, going with the grain, it might be a little darker as you're transferring. But I also use, and I don't have it right here with me, I use a color pencil to go over the thicker lines in order to see them on the pattern, so I don't keep going over the same area twice.
Omar says Pyrography Madeira, and I think that means he's just confirming that it's wood pyrography. So, see, Omar, it's Pyrography Madeira.
Are you translating? Okay.
No, I actually could not find the translation, so I am assuming. So.
Hey, Burl.
Burl, it's here.
Alright, so we went over the patterns. I really like doing it, drawing it out digitally.
She left, and now she's standing in the doorway again.
Now, on a tablet, I use Android, so I don't know how much Procreate costs, but I actually use a free drawing app called Autodesk Sketchbook Pro. It is free. You get many layers depending on the size of your piece. That way you can draw it out how you see fit. And I just use the pen that comes with my tablet to do that. It makes it much easier. Again, you're not printing out all that ink. You can choose the information that you want.
Spence is here.
Hey, Spencer. You can choose the information you want to print out. Again, so you're not wasting ink or confusing yourself because, and I did make this pattern. I think I overdid the pattern. And so I need to make it an easier pattern for the Super Toasties. I mean, this was a pain just for me to transfer. So if I had a bit of an issue transferring, I know they do. So I need to actually simplify the pattern. So when you're drawing at your pattern, only draw the information that you need. That way you're more likely to be successful and less frustrated with your piece. See, that's kind of a dark, so I'm trying to blend it out. I'm gonna mute when she barks because she's being a pill.
I don't know what she's barking at.
It is blowing wind. Alrighty, we're back. I just don't want to blow anybody's ear out. Alright, I'm going to switch pins so I can quickly put some branches in. And what pin am I going to use? I think I will use the pin we cleaned earlier, the 18 extra small. On wood burners, I will always recommend the Optima.
Andrea's here now.
Hey, Andrea.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
We got nearly the whole gang here.
We do. We're getting close.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Yes.
Hey, bro. I used your soap. It was amazing.
Oh.
And I appreciate it. So I will be using that soap from now on as long as it lasts. So we don't have any official sponsors, but use Burl's soap because it's good for you and good for your skin, and it's amazing. 2 thumbs up.
We'll wait for her to respond back. Alright. Now, there was something else I was going to say. Cute fire. I'm trying to think of all the things that I had to figure out on my own when I first started burning. Right now, because I'm using the 18 extra small, I'm only at 3.5. But you guys are seeing a lot of smoke, and that's because this is a smaller tip. Smaller tips require less heat to burn hotter, which goes into my mantra of turn down your burner. Only use the heat you need to get the tone. I know we want to hurry up and finish a piece, but if we are hurrying up, we will, 1, miss a lot of things, but 2, it ultimately is just not going to be as neat as we wanted. If you notice, I don't do... Sometimes I will do what's perceived as an outline, and that's because I'm trying to undercut a shadow. But in general, unless it's lettering and it is a piece that I'm, say, it's stylized, I'm cartooning or what have you, which I will be honest, suck at, those require outlines. But if you're doing realism, don't do the outlines. I know it may feel like you're going to lose your graphite, but you're not. So when you're going for realism, you really need to have a burning without outlines. I think it's probably one of the biggest things that can keep a piece from looking realistic when that's your goal. Again, if your goal is to do, more cartoony, then go for it. Outlines are totally fine because that's how the art style is. And I am not turning down the heat because this is a dusk, so our branches are going to be dark. So that's why I'm not reducing the heat. And some of them will be thick and some of them will be thin.
Good girl.
And I'm thickening up some of them because the transfer
Good job.
maybe wasn't as on as I wanted.
Brave. Good job.
Go. See, we're just putting in, I'm turning my wood. One of my favorite mantras, turn your wood, because it's easier to turn your wood than stand on your head. Actually, in all fairness, it took almost 2 years. I think he sent us the soap the year before last.
Well, so, like a lot of times, like out of sight, out of mind, I don't spend a lot of time in the studio, and I think a long time the soap was here in the studio, right?
Yeah.
So when Val was doing her remodel, the soap appeared on the washing machine, and I just took that as a cue. It was like, hey, there's the soap. I should use this. So, thank you for putting it there, putting it back in my in my existence, because apparently, like a toddler, I lack object permanence. So,
right now, I'm just using the edge to get some thinner lines to make the branches look more realistic. So I guess technically it's outlining, but these are branches. So I would argue that's different. Because for these I am doing a silhouette. I don't normally do silhouettes. But that is what's called for this piece. Because it's meant to fill in the background, not... It's to help finish telling the story and nothing more. It's not the main purpose of the piece. So right now I'm more flat and I'm dragging. So let's see here. I reminded everybody to use the temperature you need and slow down. Oh, I'm going to have to make that thicker because it's not reading right. I can do. See, when I slow down, it burns hotter, so that's why you're seeing the smoke. Oh, easel. Working on an easel is actually pretty important. One argument for working on an easel is it helps your posture. You're not leaning over. And I've actually got some pretty good arthritis in my neck for not work. I didn't work on an easel I didn't start working on an easel until 2011. And I've really killed my neck. So I can't look like flat down at something at a 90-degree angle for any more than 10 minutes before I start getting a headache and my neck is killing me. So I highly recommend investing in a cheap easel. It does not have to be expensive at all. I know mine's I have two traveling easels that has drawers and stuff, which allows me to take my equipment to do demos, but you don't even need that. You just need something that you can adjust, and because I pushed this easel back at a more angle than I had it, just to see how it was with the lighting for you guys. We'll decide later, or I'll decide later if I want to put it back to the closer 90 degrees that I had it. But an easel is a very good investment. The second reason for an easel is as I've been burning, you guys have seen the smoke go up, not back. So I don't normally get a whole lot of smoke, again, because of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. That is why I'm getting more smoke. But in general, I don't have smoke in my face to deal with because the smoke is going up. And if the smoke's going up, that also means the heat is going up. So it keeps my hand cooler. Because if you've ever burned flat down, your fingers all, again, long time ago, before I figured stuff out, I would walk away with yellow nails from the heat. Because one, I was burning too hot, and two, because I was burning flat. And that is where the heat was going. It was going up. So that also meant I couldn't burn as long because my fingers were hot. because of my medical conditions, I should say, I tend to, an hour is about as long as I can burn, but if I'm burning it at a lower temperature and I'm not having a hard day, I can go a little longer. Layla, that was just offensive and wrong. So, an easel is a very good investment. And you can use it for other things. Now, my easel, the biggest wood it can take, I believe, is 36 inches. That's how far the up and the bottom can go. So I can get a pretty big piece of wood on here. And then I have a backing board, and that's just to keep everything balanced and controlled, because it doesn't have a back. The back of the easel, let's see here, besides being a mess. I'll angle it down. Let me put my pen down so I don't burn myself. And we will move down. The reason I have a backing board is because, take this down. Put my references down. Oops. Because this is how the back of my easel is. It has these gaps. So that's why the backing board. But the easel, I believe I listed on Amazon, it does have a back, I believe. For that very reason.
So Andrea says, good to hear. Thanks, Val.
Uh-huh.
Carmen says, I got myself an easel. I found that my arm resting on the bottom edge is very uncomfortable.
Resting on the... Are you talking about on the lip down here? Because my hand is never... My arm...
I think that if you do that, then ergonomically, then that's potentially... If you let your wrist come backwards like that, if you're resting, then that's potentially... it'll aggravate, like, if you've got carpal tunnel. If you don't have carpal tunnel, when you do it long enough, it might potentially create that condition. It's the same reason why on ergonomic keyboards, why they have the wrist rest. The way you're doing it, the way Val does it, she doesn't bend her wrist backwards. But if you are bending your wrist backwards, that definitely would be uncomfortable.
Okay.
If that's the case, I may be completely
Are you okay? So look at the screen. Are you talking about pushing back like this to burn? Is that what you're talking about? Because the only part that touches for my easel, for me, is my arm to brace. That's really all that's touching is this side. So I'm not sure. I can't picture what is being described. I'll give her a minute.
Yeah. Spence says, don't forget to like. Thank you, Spence.
Thank you, Spence. Let's see here. So I pulled the branches into the hair. So I need to lay those down. And if you notice, I'm not being perfect with these branches. If I kind of miss the graphite, I'm not worried about it because that makes them more organic. They do need to touch things though, so let's make sure they touch things.
Sheila's here.
Hey Sheila.
She's been watching the whole time. She forgot to say hi to everybody.
Oh, let's see here. So I made that pretty thick. That might feel a little off. So I will break this up a little bit more. Maybe connect these so it doesn't feel so off. Alright, we'll keep going. So, alright, so we discussed easel. Oh, yeah, the heat and why I use an easel. Now, this is not medical it is medical information, but not a diagnosis. I am not a doctor. I do suffer from arthritis in my wrists as well. And I'm sure that's from years of burning and writing and just, being a person functioning. What my doctor, my pain doctor, specific pain doctor, recommended was, and I probably should put this in the Amazon store because it turns out you can get it on Amazon, is a wrist brace. But he informed me that people wear them wrong. If you've been ordered, or if you're wearing a wrist brace all day, you're causing yourself more issue. Wrist braces aren't, depending on, again, this depends on your medical condition and what your doctor has informed you. So we'll go that route. My doctor specifically said not to wear my wrist brace during the day. That I would find more relief if I wore my wrist brace at night while I slept, because that allows your hand and the muscles in your hand to relax in the proper position of how your wrist is supposed to be. So my brace keeps my wrist like this and allows my hand to relax in this position. And since doing that, I can't sleep without it anymore because I've gotten so used to it. The first week was a bit hard, but after that first week, I was all good. But since doing that, I very rarely have wrist pain.
So, Carmen says that she'll send you a picture when she gets home to show you what she means.
Okay.
Wanda wants to know what the material is, the board between the easel and the work.
This is just a piece of wood. This is actually, and I bought it a long time ago. Don't mind the mess behind, and I'll see how I can do this.
Well, it's a piece of wood.
No, it's an actual drawing board.
Oh.
It's a purchased drawing board.
But it has shelf paper on it.
Yes, it has shelf paper on it. It's got the metal on this side. It's hard to see, but this is a literal drawing board. But you could just use a regular piece of wood. But yeah, this has got shelf paper on it. I have it to keep one, so see, everything stays steady. I'm not bouncing back and forth if I had the burning directly on there. It gives me a...
Carmen has to go.
Bye, Carmen. Have a good rest of your day. So you can use any piece of wood. You could use a piece of plywood. A piece of plywood would be totally okay. I would probably line it with shelf paper just so you don't get splinters. Because this is an actual art drawing board, I didn't have an issue with splinters. This is for the camera. But if you're just going to use a piece of plywood, a sheet of plywood, then I would definitely recommend putting some shelf paper on it. And then you should be all good. It also allows my hand to slide, to fully move around instead of just moving my hand all the time. It allows me to move around. Which, in doing that, also allows for me to take some pressure off my wrist.
Wanda wants to know it doesn't warp.
Nope.
I should also know that
Mine is it actually has metal on both sides. Mine's a 1/2 inch thick. Has 0 problems with the heat.
So I think that contributing to that, like it is metal reinforced on the sides, and then it's a completely dried piece of wood.
Yeah.
So I think that if you had a piece of wood that was wet at all, or thinner, because this is like half inch. Yeah. I think that you might possibly have a problem with it warping. Like if it was 1/4 inch, I could definitely see that warping over time, and if it wasn't reinforced. But this is. So.
And I use the heat. I use the hot air and torch on this as well. It does not in any way respond. Now, if I went directly on it, like the torch is blowing on it, that'd be a different story. But for what I'm doing, it doesn't give me any issues.
Spat says he was told to wear his brace only at night for CPS. As usual, he didn't wear it at all.
Oh.
He had surgery. He's good now.
Okay. Yeah, see, just wearing it at night, because if you're wearing it during the day, it interferes with your movement and you're less likely to wear it. But at night, like I said, once I got used to it, it took about a week. Once I got used to it, if I lay down, I'll be laying there going, something's off. And then it immediately hits me. Oh, my brace. But mine is a specific brace. I was surprised when it got ordered for Amazon. So I will have to look and see if I have that listed. It's like $19, and it's supposed to be a one size fits all. I found over time I have to tighten it, and I've tried other wrist brace. I don't like them like I like this one. I can see real quick if you guys don't mind. Because I know I put it on one list. If I can. Amazon. So I can look to see.
Burrow wants to know how the Trickle competition went.
Well, I didn't win. And I didn't expect to be honest. The winners, there were some beautiful pieces. Definitely. Somewhere I have. On Amazon, do you know if you can save stuff?
Do I know?
No, just anybody in general.
A dog barks in the distance.
I know, she loses her head. Because I didn't order it, it was ordered by the insurance. I will look for it after the live stream, and I put it in the description, and then I think I'll also put it in the comments. That way it's just easier for everybody to find if you're interested. And even if I definitely feel the difference with the brace compared to if I don't wear it. Again, definitely talk to your doctor if you're having issues. Because it's worth getting looked at. Again, I have arthritis in mine. Thankfully, it's not carpal tunnel. I imagine that hurts even more. Alright, so next, if you're new to burning and you have decided to purchase a wire tip burner, I highly recommend that you actually sit and just play with your tips. It's really important to know what each tip will do and how it will do it based on your hand movements. Because you can see me do something and then you try it, and if it doesn't look exactly the same, you're like, what the hell? I did that, it's not doing that. And it could just be because of minor, very small movements that I make that either one, I don't describe correctly, or two, it's just, we're all different. So if you're having an issue, especially with that, but I highly recommend regardless to know your tips, what they do, and that's to make a test board. I've done some test boards on stream. It's been a while, but I have made some test boards, and what that does is it, one, gives me time with my tip, with the pins, the tip, learning how that particular machine and pins, each pin heats differently, reacts differently to the heat, how long it takes to recover, moves differently in your hand. So spending that time and really getting to know your pin needs to be your buddy. You guys need to be friends and comfortable with each other.
It needs to be an extension of you.
It does. It very much does need to be an extension of you.
That is a case with almost any
tool
that's very technical. That it has to become instinctive, I think.
Yeah.
Like when you get enough proficiency, and this is through repetition, of course. This is how you get it. Where you're no longer thinking about the tool and you're focusing on the art itself, then you've achieved that. Cynthia says, I'm interested. She has had carpal tunnel syndrome from 50 years of office work.
Ooh.
That'll do it.
That will do it.
You know, it's funny, the last 15 years that I was in the Army, there was a huge focus because a lot of soldiers, you know, the Army, there's a lot of paperwork to be done, so everybody's got to be behind a computer. So there's a lot of cases where soldiers are getting carpal tunnel, and as a safety manager, like, I had to be involved a lot with like ergonomics and ordering ergonomic office equipment and just ergonomic gear to prevent things like that.
We have to drop off our ballots, but as soon as we do that, I will. If you haven't seen the link for the brace, in like an hour after the live stream's over, please leave a comment going, hey, where's that at? Because I need it. And just remind me. Because I want to get that information to you. I definitely feel a difference since I've been wearing the brace. And again, talk to your doctor. But if you have and you're just looking for a good brace, then I will recommend mine. Alright, let's see here. What else did I have to learn? Because I didn't know it. I do a lot of testing. I am very much one of those people that wants to know everything about something specific, as much as I can possibly get. And so I do a lot of research and hunting.
I've never noticed that.
Hey, I'm admitting it. I know me. I know. If a question presents itself in my mind, I will try to test it to figure out why, if I can't find the answer. And there's a lot of times you can't find the answer on something. So I do spend a lot of time doing that. That's how I know that the Mona Lisa transfer paper is not actually graphite paper. It is carbon paper. And that's because I actually called the company and talked to their scientist, who was very upfront and honest with me. It was very nice that he gave me the information that he did. That, like, that company has somebody else make it. So Mona Lisa under Speedball is the proprietary name, but another company makes it, and it's carbon paper. So, like, you know, when you need to make a copy, somebody might say, I need to make a Xerox of this. Xerox is actually the brand of the copier, but we use it as a descriptive name. That is what graphite paper has become within the art manufacturing business. Like and I've used Mona Lisa. In fact, I got quite upset once I found out because I couldn't get off the board. It's an old set of live streams from like 6 years ago of the still life of the box, fabric box, and some other stuff.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah. And I couldn't get the background line off the wood, and I used the Mona Lisa transfer paper for that, and that is why.
Burl says she has resorted to using a number 6 to 8 HB pencil and scribbling on
that works
the back
too.
of the pad.
Absolutely, that works. I am actually going to switch over because I know we're getting close. I'm going to switch over. We're going to work on some white fabric. I am going to use, so that pen needs to be clean. I'm going to use the 18 small hot pen for that. I'm trying to give very general tips, but also why, in order to help start off with or continue or break. I broke a lot of bad habits based on misinformation that I was given or thought I knew and had to fix. That absolutely happened too.
Hey, Morgan.
So that's what I'm trying to give you guys. So yes, what Burl is talking about for her transfer is she takes her photo, she flips it. I don't want to get. She takes her pencil, which this is 2H, so it's going to be very light, but I'm just showing you the mechanics of it. She's using an 6 to 8 B pencil, and she's laying down graphite on the back of her photo of however this you can put this on tracing paper. In fact, what I'll do real quick is I will take my tracing paper and we will do this quickly on the back of this and see if I can. So I'll just do it. See, I can see, so I don't have to do the whole back if I don't want to. I can see this branch. And again, the 6 to 8B lead is very soft. It's going to lay down more, and I just realized there's a crease there. I'm just going to bubble it here. This is a 2H, so it's a harder lead. If you're looking at pencils, H means harder lead, B means softer lead. So for this technique, you need to have a B pencil. It's just going to make your life so much easier, but we will.
And unless you get a kit, but I think everybody here probably, like drawing kits, they'll have your B pencils in there. They'll have an HB, which is a mix of hard and soft, and then the H's.
Yep.
You do have to be careful though, because I have seen a couple pencil sets that look really cool. They're off-brand, and they're marked as different hardnesses, but all the pencils are the same. So get a reputable brand, you know.
Generals is a good brand. DeWitt
is good.
Is a good brand. Alright, so I just see, there we go. That's using an HB pencil, so you can imagine how dark it would be if I used a B pencil, which right now I don't have any B pencils at my disposal because the studio is still in a mess. And then on erasing, there we go. No graphite. We have no graphite. So that is a very good method. It does take longer because you have to, lay the graphite out. But it is worth it if you don't want to if you want to make things a little easier for yourself. Stadler is another good brand. Yep. Spence wants a projector to do his at some point, but he hasn't found one that he wants. Hubcap uses a projector for his bigger paintings, and I could use one if I want to.
The one that you got me, because this was a gift, and because I used to have a projector that because there's very simple projectors you can find that are basically just a light bulb and a hood, and you put your whatever it is you want, like a physical picture, you put them over that and it will transfer that image to the wall, but it gets really hot and they're super limited. So what Val got me that I didn't even know existed because I wasn't looking, but she surprised me, was a digital projector, and it's very small. It's it's about the same size as a smartphone. It's maybe a little bit bigger or thicker, but it accepts USB. It also has internet connectivity, and it does the same thing. I mean, it's a full-on projector, but you can actually save your images to it, or you can use a memory stick or whatever you want to use. But man, that thing works fantastic. And as a bonus, if you really wanted to, you could also use it as a projection TV.
Yep.
You could hook it up to whatever and stream on it. So I don't use it for that, but it is certainly useful, and it saves a lot of time when you're transferring stuff, especially if you're doing larger work. It saves so much time because I can build my pattern of my painting, and I can put that on a memory stick and then just project that right on the wall, and that saves me a lot. And because normally I would be checking and rechecking and erasing and checking my dimensions and stuff, and so I can do all that on a smaller scale where it's easier for me to do, and then I can transfer my work onto a stick and then just project it and then just do it once, and then it saves all the wear and tear on the surface I'm painting on because I'm not erasing anymore. So I'm not making corrections there. I'm just transferring it once, and it's accurate. So.
All right, so this is a white sheet, and you guys haven't been able to see what the world I'm doing because, here we go. I'm using the 18 small at like 2.75-ish temperature, and even though this is a white sheet, white still has a tonal value. And what I mean by this is we're going to take the photo that I have in sepia. Let me pop it up on screen. Let's see here. We'll pop it up on the screen for you. All right. So we are looking at the white, and of course this is lighter because I have the light is bouncing, and it's a printout. What you're seeing is the true fabric tonal value, and what we're seeing is, even though this is a white sheet, it has a lot of tone to it, because where areas come together and pushes back, this is the darkest area because there's no light getting in there. And then because it's also a rounded surface, as it's coming out, our shading is getting lighter. So that's why right here we have the light source hitting directly here. So we have to visualize this as a cylinder. This is where our light is coming from, right in this direction. So as we go around to the edges, the shading gets darker. So even though this is white, we still have a lot of tonal value going on there. And where the brightest highlights are is where I can add the white, and it will read as white. Oh, that's a hard tongue twister for me. Read as white. There we go. That was easier. W's and R's together. Whew. Bane of my existence in my childhood. Alrighty. So that means down here it's darker because this is where the light is not hitting at all. So we're going to darken this up, but then as more light can get into the area, it's lighter. So right up along this line, it's going to be darker because it's away from it. And I'm using the top half of the tip. I use a lot of oval strokes because, one, that is what I'm used to because of doing graphite. And colored pencil, you tend to use this stroke in order to get the graphite or colored pencil into the tooth for a smoother and darker saturation. So it's just a normal stroke for me. But it also allows me to blend and get a smoother, let's see here, so that comes out. All right, I'm gonna come down here. I can use the tip, and this is where it comes back to knowing your pens and what pen is going to make the job the easiest for you. You don't need as many pens as I have. If you want them, because like me, you suffer from full set syndrome, and I very much suffer from that. The need to have the full set of something, whether it's pencils or paints or wood burning pens and tips, you don't need to have everything. Granted, Pat does send me, the reason I have so many is Pat sends me the tips to test. There's been tips that I have rejected altogether because I just didn't feel like they would be the best on the market. So there's a couple of styles that have never even come out because I went, no, don't like this one. Or it was just harder to make, so it wasn't worth it for him. But the ones I have next.
Well, you're not big on well, you don't have like the carving ones?
Sure I do.
Oh, you do?
I just don't use them.
Oh, never mind.
I got lots of pens.
But what about the lettering ones? You don't?
I have all the ball tips, lettering ones.
I didn't think you had all the lettering ones.
No, I do. I do.
Pearl says, "Oh, that's her. Yes, she needs them all. Every last one."
I fully admit. I mean, the reason I haven't bought the Caran d'Ache professional watercolor pencils is because the full set costs like $300. And I don't want to spend that kind of money. It's not cheap in the Albrecht drawer that I use because I think almost all the colors for the Caran d'Ache are light fast. Alright, so let's get back to things to know when you first start. What else? I've been having a harder time getting a smoother burn because this is the way my grain is sitting. I normally burn on, when I lay patterns out, my grains run north-south, up and down, which is the long grain. But because I laid down longer versus the shorter, I'm working across that long grain, and it is slightly harder to burn. If you've been using like the walnut hollow rounds and having an issue, that's because it's an end cut. Excuse me. And end cuts are much harder to burn a smooth burn on. So if you've been having that problem, don't know why you haven't been getting a smooth burn, that is probably why. Because it's an end cut. So you're when it's an end cut, which I don't have. I'm looking quickly. Actually, where is your Yep.
I was using it.
All right. Hepcap was using his beautiful cup holder that Burl made us. This coaster, thank you, is an end cut. You see all the circles. He was testing a different finish there. But you can see all the circles. That is an end cut. And it takes the heat differently. So if you're newer to burning and you've been fighting with that and you feel it's all on you, it really isn't. It's the type of wood and cut that you're burning on. So try a different cut and I think you'll feel more successful. Alright. Oh, easy one. So you will see me, I don't know if the shadow will show, my shadow on the board. You will see me reach off, especially if I've adjusted the heat or turned a pen on, and I have test boards. This one is basswood, this one is birch. So because I'm working on basswood, I have my basswood board in front. If there's a particular wood that you burn on all the time, I highly recommend having a scrap piece of that wood. And so, don't mind the mess. So when I mean I'm testing, I'm pulling my pen out of its holder and I'm just testing to see if that is the temperature I want to touch down on. And the purpose is so I can, one, not touch down too hot, and to allow me that time to adjust and pull the heat from the tip, so when I do touch down, minus the type of wood or how the grain's laying, not get the dreaded blob, because I've tested the heat. I have actually pulled some heat from the tip, so that way when I touch down, I'm less likely to get the dreaded blob. But if I do get the blob, like I have a blob right there, I try to blend it out. And in part of blending it out is not touch down on it, to actually go around it and bring up the contrast around it, and then it starts blending away. Sorry about that. Sometimes if I'm burning hotter, you may hear me blow on my tip, so I'll do it in an area that I still need to burn more. So say I've got the heat up higher than I need, I will blow the tip like a half second before I touch down to lower the heat for a second, touch down, and see we can see in real time right there the temperature recovering. And it took longer because I am touching the wood. If I lifted off, it would have recovered so much quicker, but because I want this tonal value, I'm not allowing it to recover quicker. So just that blow as I touch down, see how light it was? And now, because I'm allowing it to recover its heat, it's burning darker. And not once did I adjust the temperature in doing that. Now this does take practice, so if you want to get the hang of it, I'd say do it on your scrap wood. That way you can practice the hand breathing technique.
So Wanda says she got in the habit of blowing on tip before Pat worked with it. And she used to get blobs constantly, but she's not anymore since he adjusted it for her.
Oh, good. Yay, she got her baby back.
Yeah.
Alright. See, because if I lift up if I don't blow and touch down in an area, let's see here, we're going to touch down an area that's going to go darker. So I've allowed the tip to recover. I didn't blow. We can see how dark it touched. But if I blow, see how much lighter that was? And now I didn't get a blob. I also tend to touch down and move my pen quicker, because if I slow down, we can see how much darker that burns, because I slowed down my pen. And this goes to show how much the speed of how we move our pen really does affect the burn that we achieve. Now, one thing I'm still really bad about, and I know I talked about it a couple weeks ago, that I'm still really bad about, is I grab my pen like I'm choking it. It's not intentional. I don't know why I do that.
I don't know. I do the same thing.
And so I get the callus right there. But we don't have to choke our pens.
I get drawing fatigue when I'm drawing, because eventually it starts to hurt.
So I'm trying to relax my hand. I have to mentally make that thought occur. Relax your hand. Relax your hand. But see, now I kind of feel like, I guess I'm kind of worried about it falling out of my hand. But honestly, relax your hand, because that's going to have less pain on your wrist and your hand. So
Spence has to go.
Bye, Spence.
He says have a great week, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining.
Bye, Spence.
Next week we go back to Super Toasty Live. So if you're not a member, you can join. You can join next, if you look on YouTube, if you look next to you see my face over here, my wood burning face over here, and then it's Valarie Connell drawing with fire. You should see a join button, so you can join through YouTube. But if you choose not, I never see any of your financial information. You can't give me any of that, and honestly, I don't want that stress.
So I'm just letting you know we're about getting close to 10 over. No hurry.
So you can join in, or you can join through Ko-fi. Ko-fi. Yeah, that is linked in the description. And we are going to go back to members only lives. Because we had the family emergencies, I felt that I wanted to have a few more public lives, because do miss you guys. Our super toasties are awesome, and we hang out mostly with them. But you are welcome to become one. And there's also a bunch of patterns you can download. Join the Facebook group for the Super Toasties. That is a unlisted group. Or actually, you can search it. I just won't add you until I can verify that you're... And when I'm being good on posting, we have fun in there. I suck at social media.
You need both.
I really do. Alrighty. So, the biggest thing, don't outline before you start filling in. Just burn. Your lines really aren't going to go anywhere. Now, if you do the technique on putting the graphite on the back of the wood, or on the back of your pattern, and transferring that way, you could get a little smearing of graphite. And if that's the case, if you're right-handed, start burning down in the bottom right. That way, as your hand moves up, It's already burned. You haven't lost your graphite. You don't have to worry about it. Actually anytime I'm burning, after I'm done, once everything is blocked in, I use denatured alcohol, which is methylated spirits outside of the U.S. Yeah, I remembered. And I damp the paper towel just a little bit, and I clean off my board. I don't apply water because it will raise the grain, but denatured alcohol, because it's alcohol, dries very quickly, cleans any grime and what have you off your wood. It helps with the graphite, helps pull any of the oils from your hand that are on your wood, pulls that off, and just you'll feel a difference as your hand is going across the wood. It'll feel smoother because the oil and you working and the graphite and the eraser guts when you erase. We get well, that wasn't a good example. Let's try it down here. Actually, this eraser, it's one of the reasons I mean, it does have a lot of eraser guts, but let's see here. It's not doing it. But in general, the eraser guts pulls all that out. Because I do have to wonder, and I have no proof of this, but I do have to wonder if there's some kind of residue from the graphite that remains on the wood. Because when I clean the wood, there we go, eraser guts. When I clean the wood, I do feel a difference. I don't smell or feel a difference when I'm burning over an area I've just erased. But I do feel a difference when I clean the wood. So denatured alcohol, and I use a garage shop paper towels. They're thicker and I like them. Let's see here. Real quick, what else?
Wanda wants to know where the patterns are.
The patterns on... I need to add Wanda because I do have a Google Drive specific for the Toasties for patterns where they can download everything. But on Facebook... If you're on Facebook on the PC, at the very top of the Facebook, you can, it has photos, blah, 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 blah. There's also files. If you click on the files tab, all of the patterns are in there. All of them. That goes for Michelle, but Michelle wasn't in today, so I will have to check and make sure you get them. And access to the Google Drive where you can just go in and download what you want. Let's see here. Anything else on the 101? Get to know your pins. I would only start off with 5 pins tops. And those are pins that will give you different things that you can do. Because I've used the 18 extra small for actually all of the board, except for because I haven't started with the Ghost. I've used this pen, so I will always recommend Optima. It is by far the superior burner, and I got the main burners except for Peter Child's. I don't have that one. The pens I recommend to start would be the 18 extra small, I haven't done this in a while, so I got to think about it. Nope, that's the wrong pen. There we go. The 9M. This allows to get into little tiny places. The 19 ball tip medium. And the 18 small spear shader. If I really stuck to my guns and really put in the extra time, I could do this whole piece with just these 4 tips. Actually, I could do it with less. But to start, this gives you 2 shading, plus it gives you the edge for thinner and thicker lines, signature, small area, even if I was just doing a background, I could use the 18 small and get it done. And if you wanted to add one more pen, I would say the small, medium ball, or sorry, medium spoon shader. And you could pretty much do absolutely everything. I'm thinking portraits, animals. It might be a little harder to do a structure, but you could still do it. I'm trying to think. In fact, you could do comic book style with this. Yeah, I think these would be the 5 most useful pens on a budget. Because, like, if you buy the dual Optima, you get 2 pens, so you could pick 3 more. And I would pick, if you're just starting with the first 2, the 18 extra small and medium ball tip, if you're not wanting to buy extra pens right now. Yep, those 2. Yeah, I gotta put them all away. For me, I made a custom, and I need to dust it because it's like really dirty. But I used a cheap box from Michaels to hold my pens. Please don't mind the dust because I need to dust. And I drilled holes in the top of the pen, or the top of the box, and that's where my pens sit. And you can see how many pens that I don't have. So this is, I do have a certain place where each thing goes. I just drop them in. But part of what I did with this is I actually put on the bottom of this a spinner, so I can move my box however I need. And I didn't glue this closed, so if I wanted to put all my pins in here and close the box, I can. So that's how I store my pins. It sits over to my right. Again, don't mind the mess. Sits to my right over here. And I do have my holders listed. I'm almost positive that I use heavy stainless steel soldering pin holder. I have my burner up top up here. I have shelves in front of me. That way I can adjust and what have you, and it's easier on my cords. Because I'm right-handed, all my stuff's to the right. If I was left-handed, all my stuff would be on the left. And I'm trying to think if there's any more basic stuff. Contrast matters.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna be
You need your darks and your lights. Oh, I know. Okay, we need to finish off. All right. No, I just saw the time and we need to go drop off our ballots. So, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments after the live is over. And I will try very hard to get to them. Actually, for the basics, I will get to them. And thank you for sticking around. Say it with me. You're awesome. You can do this. Why? Because you're a prior artist. Happy burning, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.